to keep it in the car.
It being 5:30, I'll call this meeting of the Village of Peoria Heights Board of Trustees to order. If everyone would please stand for a moment of silent prayer and reflection, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So it's come to my attention that Trustee Kazam could not join us here physically today. So I would ask for a motion to allow Trustee Kazam to participate remotely.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Weisenberg and seconded by Trustee DeVore. Are there any questions or debate on whether Trustee Kazam should be allowed to participate remotely? Hearing none, Clerk Turner, would you call the roll?
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert? Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. Now we'll have a roll call for all of those present. Clerk Turner?
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Here.
Trustee Kazam?
Here.
Here. Trustee Simmons?
Because she's not sitting here, sorry. Here. Sorry, folks.
Trustee DeVore?
Present.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Present.
Trustee Reichert?
Present.
Okay, thank you. We're now down to the approval of the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting on December 16th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Trustee DeVore, seconded by Trustee Simmons. Any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are approved. We're down to the comments from the audience on agenda items only. If you have a comment, please come to the podium, give your name, address, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes. Comments from the audience.
Hello. Sorry, I've got a cold, so a little rough here. I'm Kathy Stevenson, 1505 East Glen. I'm a former ZBA member for 10 years. A recent article in the paper stated Peoria area has 9 new development projects on the horizon. Only 3 of those plan to add parking in front. The new Paradise Casino and Hampton Inn Hotel in East Peoria, and the Levy District, which is known for its big box stores and strip malls, and the third being the project before you tonight. Off-street parking in front of buildings contradicts every consultant recommendation, comprehensive plan, master plan, overlay district standard, and most importantly, the very premise behind the success our village enjoys today. Like many small towns, the Heights was fortunate to preserve a few blocks of late 1800s storefronts built directly to the street. These buildings create a continuous street wall that defines a business district and makes it vibrant and walkable. If we truly want to continue to expand our sales tax base, we must expand our street wall beyond the 2 blocks it is. In 2018, the zoning board recognized that significant redevelopment was on the horizon and that without updated standards, our village character was at risk. Traditional 1970 zoning that was in place at the time would have required new buildings to be set back with large parking requirements, resulting in gaps along the street wall with expansive parking lots. One only has to look at prospects south of Kelly or War Memorial to see what our village might resemble today without the overlay district. Large parking lots and broken street walls do not attract patrons. Peoria is filled with vacant strip malls with an abundance of parking. Yet its warehouse district is thriving because it embraces forum-based principles. Buildings close to the street, large glass storefronts, on-street parking, and small-scale retail. This approach has successfully attracted independent, locally owned businesses and created a walkable, active environment. The Heights is equally well positioned for the same growth if we stick to the principles that made us successful and continue to expand our street wall south of Kelly. During recent ZBA discussions, it was suggested that only large cities expect people to walk for parking. In reality, our most vibrant corridor already functions this way. Patrons park on the street, which encourages them to walk, linger, and visit multiple businesses rather than making a quick stop-and-go strip mall trip. Mayor Wigington recently described the sales tax generated from our mom-and-pop businesses as our bread and butter. Building to the street supports those businesses, by increasing foot traffic, visibility, and a sense of safety. People feel more comfortable walking past lit storefronts rather than along empty parking lots. Numerous studies and real-world examples demonstrate that street-oriented buildings encourage patronage and a greater willingness to walk further for parking. The developers may view their desired setbacks and off-street parking as convenient in the short term, but these design choices risk discouraging additional activity to their very development by continuing the gap in the street wall. On the ZBA, I reviewed many developments, and I have seen numerous instances where the village has yielded to developer requests. In hindsight, some of those projects have not performed as anticipated. Nearly 6 years later, Samuel remains partially vacant. The 4500 building continues to struggle with first floor corner occupancy and access, concerns that were raised during the site plan approval process. Each of you has the opportunity tonight to set a clear direction for our village's future. Denying this request reinforces the principles that have proven successful: building to the street, maintaining our street wall, and strengthening our primary business district. These are the very characteristics that attract developers and patrons to the village. Had your predecessors followed these principles, buildings like this and numerous others would have been constructed at the sidewalk, leaving adaptable structures that contribute to a cohesive and vibrant downtown. The fundamental question before you is this: should developers determine what is best for the long-term economic viability of our village, or should that determination be guided by our adopted plans, consultant recommendations, extensive resident input, and the long-term success of our current business district? Communities like St. Charles, Geneva, and Galena are true destinations because they made intentional choices to protect and expand their street-oriented business districts. They committed to what works. I urge you to do the same for the long-term health, character, and economic success of our village. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Norm Reichert, 5016 Glen Elm Drive. I feel kind of silly about talking about this before you guys have, because I don't know where you feel, or where you stand, but the golf cart issue, I guess I'm kind of in favor of it, and if you guys aren't in favor of it, I just want to point out a couple, the gals that take care of the flowers, they drive that gator all over the place, up and down the streets, no seat belts. I don't know if they have turn signals. If they do, they don't use them. The guy the caretaker down at Heritage Square, got a golf cart, drives that thing all the way around the whole complex on the sidewalk. I've seen them across Columbus because they own that lot over there. The guys from Park District that come up, do the trail, empty the garbage. They come up Grandview, all the way across down Kingman till they can get on the trail there. So, I mean, there's all kinds of cases where we were allowing this for some people, but so I just want you guys to be aware of that.
Thank you, Chief. Any other public comment?
Good evening, everybody. Bo Landry, business owner down here in the Heights. Wanted just to start by introducing myself as a local restaurateur and business owner here in Peoria Heights. Also want to start by saying that I fully support the village's goal of preserving walkability as well as the character of our beautiful community. That historic and walkable stretch of the street is one of the community's greatest assets, and it's exactly why people want to spend time here. What's important to recognize is that the site at the Save-A-Lot functions as a transition point on the street, and the development pattern on one side of this property is very different from the other. Because of that, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, and it may not be the most effective solution to look at it as such. For restaurant concepts like mine, some level of front-facing parking is an operational necessity, particularly for carry-out, curbside pickup, and delivery drivers. That convenience directly impacts sales volume, service efficiency, and ultimately the sales tax and jobs that these businesses generate. I'd also like to point out that we already have successful examples in the Heights where front parking exists without harming walkability. The building across Heritage Square where the bank is located has front parking, yet the area remains pedestrian friendly, it's active, and it's cohesive with the rest of the district. That shows parking, when designed thoughtfully, does not undermine the walkable character of our community. Parking does not automatically make something feel like a strip mall. Design, materials, landscaping, thoughtful design, as well as scale are what determine that. With the right approach, this development can support both pedestrians and businesses alike. From an investment standpoint, maintaining some front parking increases tenant interest, strengthens long-term viability, as well as supports property values and helps ensure that this site becomes a catalyst for continued reinvestment in our wonderful community, rather than a barrier to it. I believe there is a balanced solution here that respects walkability while also allowing this project and future businesses to succeed. Thank you all for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Bill. Any other public comment? Public comment going once, twice. Oh, okay. Almost gobbled out there, Hugh. Are you sure?
Hi, Hugh Higgins. I have Hearth Restaurant, 4604 Prospect. And I've been fortunate to have a longer history here in the Heights than some of you may know. There's an Observer. Remember the Observer? Remember we used to have the Observer of our paper up here? Yeah, at the restaurant, I've got a picture from January 9th, 1964. It's my dad and me and my older brother in the father-son basketball tournament at Monroe Avenue Grade School. And we made the front cover of the Observer, and I still have that today. It hangs in the restaurant. I was fortunate enough to go to Monroe Avenue Grade School, And I just loved that neighborhood growing up over there on Paris Avenue. It was just a little slice of heaven. You know, I had the John B. food store, we had the Miracle Mart. Bob Kokenauer had a nice little, ice cream stand there. Had an A&W root beer, we had a KFC, we had Prospect Variety, for crying out loud. Anything a kid could want. Tresker's Bakery, the original one down there. Emo's up here. I mean, it was just a wonderful, wonderful neighborhood to grow up in. And it's what I remember as my first home forever. Before I went to high school, we moved to the East Bluff, so my later years grew up elsewhere. But the Heights was always special to me, and I really loved it, and fortunate to come back here and work here. And so that property in Prospect, I rented it for 3 years and was fortunate enough to buy that land. And it means a lot to me. And I've seen this community evolve in such a wonderful way, and seen so many customers come in and out of my doors who may be here for a reunion, haven't been here in 30 years or something, and they're like, wow, the Heights, this is nothing like I remember. No, it's not. It's really, really special. And my dad was a school teacher, but in summers, he'd throw cases of beer. He worked on there in the heat of the summertime over here at Pabst. I remember Kell Avenue School being up there. There was a whiff of yeast in the air from Pabst. But about the best thing we had to hang our hat on up here was Ben Franklin, Velvet Freeze, and Pabst. They're all gone. But the changes that have come here through previous administrations and vision that's come to this community have been pretty stupendous. And I'd like the trust to be there for all of us out here, to trust the vision of this board, and to continue the wonderful projects that have begun years ago. I served on economic development councils. I've done traffic studies. I have given my blood, sweat, and tears to this community through the Chamber of Commerce, founded Taste of the Heights. I'll keep giving because I love being up here, and I love what has happened here. And I want you to keep those wonderful visions that have been worked on for so many years. Let's see them continue to come to fruition.
Okay, thank you, Hugh. Any other comments to come before the board? I think there'll be, you guys are going to have certainly some time. Probably quite a bit. Any other comments? Comments going once, twice. Comments are closed. We are now down to the appointment of Dr. Ethan Lynn to the Fire Pension Board, 2024 through 2027, unexpired term. Now, before we get to that, I want to let you know that sadly I received a email from Ms. Mary Phillips about a month ago who let me know that she could no longer serve on the Fire Pension Board and was asking to step down from that. So at this time, I would like to entertain a motion with regret to accept the resignation of Miss Mary Phillips.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Trustee Weisenberg and a second by Trustee DeVore to accept the resignation with regret of Miss Mary Phillips. Any comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Aye. The motion passes. Now we're down to the appointment, and I would like to, I know many of us are aware of Dr. Lynn, have worked with him in the past. It was Trustee Weisenberg, who I think we originally sat down with Dr. Lynn to talk a little bit about his vision of Poplar Park and how that could fit in down below the hill. And I think we've seen, and I know many of the trustees up here have worked down there as well, and seen the remarkable progress that just a community-led effort, and Dr. Lynn was kind enough to organize that and be the spark that really got some attention to that project. So a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Lynn had reached out to me and had mentioned that he was interested in maybe doing a little bit more for the village and trying to get a little bit more involved. And when I got Mary's unfortunate resignation, I thought what better person to fill this opportunity than Dr. Lynn. And so a little bit about Dr. Lynn. He's a Peoria Heights resident who has lived in our community for the past 4.5 years. And though his work allows him to live anywhere in this country, he and his wife have chosen to make Peoria Heights their home, along with their 4 children. He brought 50% of them here today. Now, Dr. Lynn holds a PhD in applied linguistics from Northern Arizona University and works as an education consultant focused on improving literacy instruction throughout this state. He oversaw the native wildflower project on Poplar Lane last year and is dedicated in helping serve our community here in Peoria Heights. So, Dr. Lynn, I couldn't be more honored to offer your name for appointment to the Fire Pension Board. So I will entertain a motion to accept the appointment of Dr. Lynn to the Fire Pension Board.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion to accept the appointment by Trustee Weisenberg and seconded by Trustee Steinwedel. Are there any comments or objections to Dr. Lynn serving? Hearing none, Clerk Turner, would you call the roll?
Trustee Steinwaddle.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Simmons.
Aye.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert.
Aye.
Congratulations, Dr. Lynn. Thank you for serving. Okay, we are now down to old business, and for the sake of the kids, you guys, you're welcome to leave. Is there any old business to come before the board? Okay, hearing none, we're down to new business, and first on the agenda is the appeal pursuant to Village Code Section 10-3A-B-3 by 4425 North Prospect LLC from variance ruling by Zoning Board of Appeals on property located at 4425 North Prospect Road. Trustee DeVore.
So I'm gonna, as we all know, this is the appeal to the zoning board ruling for the property located at the current Save-A-Lot development. So 2 variances were requested at that zoning board meeting, and the zoning board decided that the full site plan, being as it does not fit all the qualifications of our current overlay district, that it should come to us. So it was denied by the zoning board for us to discuss on how we wanted to proceed forward.
Okay, and I think we have the chairman of the zoning board, Chairman Pitzel, is here, as well as the developers are here as well. So if anyone needs to hear from them, you're welcome to step up.
I'm sure does anyone have questions? I mean, I have lots of questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
For Mr. Pixel. On the number 2 of the findings, it says if the variation is granted, the property affected by the variation will remain in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning code. And 6 voted yes.
Because it's a denial. Look, this is a deny. We made a motion to deny the variance, right? So it's opposite.
Yeah, but you're right. 6 voted yes that,
It would remain in harmony or would not remain in harmony? That's where I'm.
actually, you look at number 2,
Yes.
Yes.
8 voted yes.
No, it's a 6. So
Are
there's
you
two-
talking,
there's-
you're talking about the
I know my
variance one?
eyesight.
Yes, so.
I don't have the variance one with me.
sorry, I don't.
It's all right, it's because it's backwards, it's opposite.
Okay. So my question is, I think that's a 6. Are
Yes,
6
it is a
people
6.
saying it will remain in harmony or it won't remain in harmony with the general zoning code?
They are saying it will.
So the zoning board said if we approve,
If you look at the others, though, if any of the others are not a yes, then you
Right.
have to basically deny the request. So if you look at the other ones, will the strict application, pose some practical difficulty? It was no.
okay,
So if any one of those is not, is not a yes, then you have to deny the request, basically.
okay.
But, yeah, I can't explain why people vote, why they vote, how they
Right.
vote, but these were the numbers.
No, I was just curious if, if the opinion was that if they didn't, maintain the street wall, that it would not be in harmony with our zoning code, then why did 6 of them vote that it would be in harmony with
don't
our?
know.
Okay. That's all the question I have.
Do you feel like the general consensus at the zoning board was, though, that they felt the site plan as it sits today was gonna remain harmonious with the general?
Well, I think the site plan vote came after the vote for the variance.
Okay,
And since we had denied the variance, I think everybody pretty much said, they're gonna deny the site plan and allow the village board to decide on
on the site plan.
the site plan.
But this one says the construction of the parking lot in the front of the building on Prospect Road. So we're saying, so I guess my question is, do you feel that the zoning board almost, the majority felt that allowing parking in the front would be harmonious with the zoning plan?
Well, obviously not, because they voted against the variance, right? So I think I don't think they looked at it maybe necessarily exactly how you're looking at
Okay.
the harmonious word,
Yeah,
but in the whole zoning code, but many, you can tell, many, all but basically 2 in most of the categories, felt that obviously felt that the parking in front was not in line with the zoning code as the downtown overlay district lays it out.
okay.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to hear, if they're appealing this, I'd like to hear their reason for the appeal, if possible, if the developer is able to give us
Yeah.
a reason.
Yeah, I don't have I can answer any of your questions, but I mean, why did the zoning board vote as they voted? I mean, you'd have to ask each person specifically why they voted like they voted, but I think in general, most people felt that 2 lanes of parking in front didn't line up with what the overlay district said, so they were voting no against that. We also heard from, and they might talk about this, but part of what the applicants said was that, they would be willing to make it 1 lane of parking if there was parking on Prospect, which may or may not ever happen, I don't know. But, I mean, you guys know more than I do on whether there will be parallel parking or diagonal parking or whatever in front of that Save-A-Lot building where currently Prospect Road lies or the sidewalk lies, and they were willing to give up 1 lane of that parking if that occurred. But, I mean, you can't, I don't think we felt comfortable saying yes to that because we're not sure what, is really gonna happen on Prospect, and the board knows better on what's gonna happen on Prospect. But I think if that were a allowable solution, I think more of the people might have voted differently. But again, each person votes as they vote, and I can't tell you why they voted, how they voted.
Chairman Pitzel, maybe stick around.
Yeah, I know, I'm not, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Steinwaddle, yes, we'll bring some of the developers up.
Mayor, can I ask you a question in the meantime?
Yes.
So, right now, this appeal is on the variance ruling, which is just for the parking, yes?
Well, and I believe for the site plan as well.
So, and for the full
The
site plan?
The site plan would have come to us
Either way.
regardless.
But this would be our chance to talk about the site plan. It's not coming back on top of this. It would be, we're gonna discuss the variance, or the issues currently today.
Both of these things
For
would
both,
be
for
discussed.
both things, for parking and full site plan.
Correct.
Okay, just confirming.
Okay.
I'm Kieran Graham. I'm with the developer. I'm also will act as the general contractor on the project. I'm one of the owners of Hine Construction. So I want to thank you guys. I want to thank the mayor and the trustees for letting us talk tonight. But the proposed development is, it's a pretty exciting opportunity for us and the village of Peoria Heights too. Based on the commercial tenants that we have and some of the ones that we're talking to right now, the potential is up to 300 jobs in the facility, if we fill it. But there are a few things I want to talk about tonight that are, I think, are pretty important that I'd like you to know, just from a business and economic standpoint for us. The majority of the prospective tenants that we're speaking with are requiring and asking for prospect-facing parking. They want their whether they're walking into an accountancy firm or it's a restaurant, they want their people walking in the front door. That's what we're hearing a lot of. In fact, the tenant we already have, and everybody knows who that is, it's Clifton Larson Allen. They are moving out of downtown Peoria because, safety issues, parking availability, and they really want their people who come to visit them for tax reasons or whatever they use them for, can park and walk in the front door, easy in and out. So our concern with CLA is they're pretty demanding on their lease, and we are concerned that, if we don't get that front parking, they do have the opportunity to back out of the lease. And we have essentially till March 31st to make that decision, or they're going to, this decision's got to be made, or they have the opportunity to look elsewhere. The other thing is, and I think this was just mentioned, when you look at the existing development pattern south of Kelly, you have a lot of successful businesses that have parking out front. I mean, you've got Tresca's. We just completed the parking lot for Tresca's. I mean, that's a thriving business. I was there over the Christmas period, and it was packed. It looks good, and when the landscaping's done, it's going to look great. Heritage Square's another one. It looks pretty good. And the truth is, the rest of the buildings south of Kelly there, I mean, they're going to remain unchanged. We're not going to get a massive development that puts all them buildings on the road over the next 10 or 20 years. You've got really good buildings there, So we feel like we're not really changing anything from what's there, except we're removing the Save-A-Lot building, which is not in great shape, and building something that we hope's, a really beautiful building. The kind of third is, if we, and this is a pretty important one, is if you look at the road, and I just was down there, from Moneta on the south up to Marietta, there's about 3 foot of drop in grade. So the north side of that building, essentially, if we're up on the sidewalk, is going to stick out of the ground about 3 feet. So it makes the front of the building not functional unless we put ramps or steps in, and then we're not ADA compliant unless we put ramps in. So, at Moneta, it's on grade, and then out up north, we've got 3 feet of a building sticking out of the ground. There's no way we could step the building. It would add a couple of $1 million, and that would put us financially not viable to do. The other thing is the closer we get to the road, there's a safety and constructability standpoint, which costs money on a project that's already pretty tight for us. We're probably going to have to request a lane closure on South Prospect for the course of the construction project, which could be up to 12 months. You know, that's about all I got to say. You know, we are taking significant financial risk to make this project successful. We're trying to make everybody happy. We really are. We're not just coming here and trying to throw this thing in and asking for a favor. This is what businesses who want to rent from us are asking, is that they have front row parking into the front of the building. So, again, I appreciate your time. You have any questions?
Trustee Steinwaddle, you had asked that developers come. Do you have any questions?
So you mentioned that you have accounting and retail requesting front door parking.
Mm-hmm.
The ground floor there, is that going to be exclusively retail?
We don't know that yet. We are talking to someone right now who may take a portion of the ground floor for office space, which would leave about 8,000 square feet for restaurants, retail.
Okay. Per the zoning meeting, which I did watch, and if we're discussing site approval here, you took the glass surface from 75 to 33%. Am I correct on that?
I think that
Okay.
could be right, yeah.
Okay. And so would you say that that reduction of glass to 33% would inhibit retail leasing as well on the ground floor?
The ground floor is all storefront,
Okay.
as drawn. So the ground floor is, and I've got a set of plans if you'd like to see them.
Yeah, I think I heard somewhere 52% glass. Is that what that is?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
When you look at the front of the building, the front of the building is more glass than the rear of the building.
So there is a chance that this could be entirely an office building.
Hopefully not. We don't see it that way. We see that more than likely the ground floor is going to be retail and restaurants.
Per the zoning meeting, I think your partner on this deal, the other developer, had mentioned a redevelopment agreement. You intend to pursue TIF funds and public funds to get this project done?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions, Trustee Steinwaddle?
Not at this time.
I would like to just add that, you know, I think it's very important. My wife's cousin is Billy Blasick down at Sullivan's, and, you know, one of the conversations I have with him is, you know, 80 people at CLA just on the top floor. It's going to be so beneficial for the restaurants and other businesses in town where they can walk to lunch, walk to dinner, you know, and if we fill this whole building up, I mean, there's going to be an economic impact to the village of Peoria Heights that I think will be really beneficial.
Well, I would like to add, you know, I do see that point of it, but one of the concerns that I do have is when we take TIF money, we are being entrusted by all the taxing bodies, including our school district, with these funds. We are being handed that money as a village in order to use that for the betterment of the community. And what we're doing with that TIF money, and if you look at the school board, they do have a very slight increase in their taxes this year, their tax levy. After 5 years of dropping it from, I think, 5.7 to 5.02, we're now looking at a slight increase. So they've been extremely, extremely careful with their funds. But at this point, because we do have a lot of TIF districts, that burden is transferred back onto our residential population. And so even though I think I talked to Dr. Heath, and I believe it's about $14 a year for a $100,000 house and an increase in taxes, we are still entrusted with the money in that TIF district to use for the betterment of the community. Personally, you know, we don't see much off of office use other than, like you said, that we don't see majority of our tax dollars come from retail sales. And a vast majority of our tax dollars come from retail sales. So if we increase 300 people in our community, we then have 300 people needing fire protection, police protection, using our roadways, everything like that. And then we have an increase you know, depending on what the village's portion that we're gonna retain on the, to use on TIF is there, leaves us with a fairly small portion of money to do what we're intending to do, is increase, be beneficial to the community as a whole. And, you know, my point of view on that is the TIF money, we have to be judicious with that. And so that is consideration of the use of the space, if we're going to retail or we're going office down the road. And when I saw the glass reduction from 75% to 33%, a lot of, and that's the reason behind those questions. I appreciate you being honest with that.
Yeah, and truthfully, the glass reduction is on the second and third floor.
Mhm.
You know, and the ground floor has never really changed.
Yeah.
We have an understanding that, you know, the glass on the ground floor is really important, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, and thank you. One thing on the,
I just want to mention something about the glass, though. The glass, 75% is only for the first floor in zoning code. It's
Sure.
not for the whole front.
Okay.
thank you.
52% is what they actually have in this design on the first floor.
Okay.
Of glass.
Is there a structural reason behind that, or?
Yes, there is a structural reason behind it. Because of the height of the building and because it's a wood structure, we needed to close the windows in so we could put structural members all the way up through the building to stiffen it.
Has there been any,
Say, I'm a structural engineer, and
Yeah.
I took a look at that, and you could get the 75% on the first floor. I don't wanna,
Okay.
and that is information that's come to light post
yes,
your meeting
yes.
and your decision?
After the last meeting, I went back and took a look at that.
Okay, I appreciate that.
One quick thing on TIF districts, and TIF districts can be kind of confusing, but I appreciate you saying, Trustee Steinwaddle, that we are looking after the finances of multiple taxing bodies, and you're absolutely right about that. But one thing that we do, and we pride ourselves on in the creation of TIF districts, is that we cut out the school board and ensure that they have a fair amount of financing to support the school. So I don't want us to, or the public watching at home, to feel like that these TIF districts are endangering the school district. It's quite the opposite. We cut out the school district and give them a very sweetheart deal so that they can maintain. And they sit on TIF observatory boards to make sure that their funds are handled correctly throughout the TIF. Regardless of whether it's retail or whether it's property or whether it's commercial, the TIF district is not impacted because the TIF district is tax increment financing. The increment on the redevelopment is what finances the TIF. So on a redevelopment agreement, if that were to come before the board at that time, that would be the opportunity to talk a little bit about whether you wanted to have retail or require retail in terms of how much TIF financing they would get. But, you know, as far as what the money in the pot of the TIF would be, it's not impacted of what exists there or not. It is just a matter of how much is that property or that parcel valued by the assessor.
Question about that, Mayor. So I know with the tax increment financing, it's locked in at like a base rate, and then any increment after that, it goes to the TIF district.
Correct.
But the base rate, is that gonna be how the property is valued now, a Save-A-Lot? After it's torn down, after it's rebuilt? When's that base
There's
established?
strategy, right? But remember, one of the things that you have to remember on a TIF is that they don't last forever either.
Right.
Right? So you have to, depending on where you draw that line in the sand, whether the building exists or whether it's a flat lot, nothing exists, that could be the increment. But the TIF is, that TIF that they find themselves in is the oldest in the village. It's the Lacey TIF.
Okay.
And so I think that's 2015, 2016, I think.
Okay.
So there's some strategy there, but good question.
Okay.
Now, TIFs can pull from an existing, from one TIF at neighbors, right?
I don't know if you all can hear me, and firstly, I apologize because I'm not feeling very well, so my voice isn't at its best, and also it's a little difficult to hear. But I just want to say a couple things. Firstly, the TIF is a very important question, but that's not what's in front of us this evening. What's in front of us are two separate issues, variance requests for glass and the positioning of the parking. And I will just say, pardon me, I've been working with the village for 8 years, beginning in zoning with Trustee DeBoer. And throughout those 8 years, one of our main initiatives has been to create an inviting and walkable destination. And all of the studies, and this was a huge education for me, have shown that walkability heavily relies on the absence of parking lots in the front of these buildings. We've been working very hard with new code initiatives and people to help us rewrite our code. And we've been also using taxpayer money to create comprehensive plans and had meetings and entertained people from experts from all over the world. So, in looking at this particular development, and I understand development because in my private life, this is exactly what my husband and I do in Illinois and other states across the country. I watched actually the zoning meeting 3 times this afternoon with my husband. I'm inclined to agree with the request of the glass based on their request and understanding that they plan to build this with frame construction. I'm just a little bit concerned, or very concerned, with the positioning of the building on the lot. And I know very well that, your prospective tenants are going to want parking in front of the building. And I honestly, what I would like to say at this point is I feel like I need further discussion on the needs of those tenants and also what the village can provide to accommodate you while still realizing our goal of, having a walkable community and that type of thing. So I don't know if anyone has any more to add on that, but those are my comments for right now.
I believe the glass variance was granted, is that?
It was.
The glass variance was granted, so I believe it's just the positioning of the building on the site at this point. And again, I just want to reiterate, there is, pushing this building all the way to the sidewalk. The building's on the north side's going to stick this far out of the ground. People can't walk in the front door without a ramp or steps.
I don't know that the thought is that it would be pushed all the way to the front, right? Like, I don't know that that's maybe what everyone up here is thinking. I do think, though, like, the thought of it being the walkability is getting it closer to the curb. Now, with the layout of how the roadway is and everything, this is a very, very large building, so I don't think that it sits right. It will not look right to sit right on the curb, as well as what you're saying in the grading of that, the whole block. But you are creating a very huge building that is taking up an entire city block. So I think it's important for us to have all the answers to kind of the things on how it would look. I have talked to Trustee Kazam, we've kind of gone through a lot of these things about, how we feel like there has to be some sort of compromise. But one thing that I'm struggling with, which is not at your fault or the fault of your entire development team, is where I would like to see the plans from Hanson on where they see this road being developed if the Prospect, when the Prospect Road rework gets done. I feel like I've asked for that and it has been provided to the best of the ability from the administration here, but that's making it hard to have a decision, on how, what is a good compromise. The other thing is you don't want to have a 3-story building 6 feet away from where people are driving, but I also don't want you to be back where it is because I don't want to see a parking lot in the front of it. It seems to be more if you could get it more in line with the trajectory of where the PAPS building is and things like that, and have 1 row of parking in the front, that would be more ideal, and I feel like maybe a compromise that we could come to. So I don't know if that's a decision that we can make in this situation, or if we need to be able to talk with Hanson and your, architectural people to figure out what the compromise is that's best for both parties.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just to keep in mind that depending on how far we move that building back, we can make it so there's not enough parking for the building at that point.
I do understand that, so, I get how that works.
You know, because a lot of these leases were required to give a certain amount of spaces. And then you have your code also too, so but yeah, I mean, we're obviously willing to compromise. It's, you know, and we'd love to talk to you about that. But, you know, you're one car a lot, or we've got basically, I think, 2 rows of parking at this point and a drive lane. So the only thing you're cutting out is about 19 feet of a parking spot. So the building will be closer to the road by 19 feet, but still from the back of the sidewalk, probably 24, 34, like 44 feet from the back of the sidewalk right now. If you had one, so it's 44 versus 63 feet. So,
But I hear you.
yeah,
right?
no, I am.
I hear you, and
know.
I'm trying to be open to like both
Yeah.
sides, like what works for us, what works for you.
Mhm.
But we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money for consultants to tell us
Mhm.
how we need to develop. And once this building goes up, like we're never gonna, this will outlive everyone here making these decisions today.
Mhm.
And so you also, this development will also kick off any development south of you further, right? So a lot of decisions I think need to be made carefully, because what we agree to today, or what we agree to with your development, is going to shape the way everything south of Marietta looks.
No, I agree.
One thing that you said, Mr. Graham, was that if you did have to go to the curb, you mentioned that you would have to close a lane of Prospect?
Yeah, just for constructability.
12 months.
When we set cranes out there and have our guys work off the road. Just safety issues, so.
Which is what we've been
You
doing
said
for.
approximately 12 months.
12 months of road closure on Prospect?
Yep.
We've done
Well-
that for Pearl.
Just one
Not for
lane
12
though, it wouldn't be
months.
both lanes.
Right.
We're
Just
doing it
one
for
line.
Pearl.
Does this coincide with any of our prospect project, that 12-month window? Like when we're gonna
Nothing.
start?
No.
Okay. Chairman Pitzel, did you,
No, I was just gonna make a comment on the parking, that in the overlay district, there isn't a parking requirement. So it's up to them how many parking spots they have.
Mr. Graham, as far as the existing footprint of this building, would this proposed project, as you find it on the site plan, would it be closer to the road or further from the road as we find Save-A-Lot today?
I think it's about 18 inches closer to the road
Okay.
than where it is right now.
Okay, in the zoning board meeting, it was said that it was further away, so is it?
18 inches closer than the Save-A-Lot building.
I thought they said in the zoning meeting it was gonna be 1.5 feet
Yeah.
back.
Farther back.
Farther back.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well.
That's what we were told, yeah.
It's 1 foot 6 inches closer.
In the zoning meeting, we were, it may have been confusion, but in the zoning meeting, we were told 1 foot, like 6 inches or 1 foot 3 inches further back.
Further back, yep.
I mean, we're talking about.
That's what I thought today.
But in actuality, what is it?
1 foot 6 inches closer, we overlaid it today.
Okay.
Where, I'm not seeing it on the drawing, where are all the trash receptacles and things gonna go on this site plan?
In the northwest corner by Marietta, there's a dumpster enclosure, a proposed dumpster enclosure up there.
Okay, so that, but to me, so we're, for this entire footprint for this building, we're just like 2 dumpsters?
We would just have multiple pickups multiple times a week.
Okay. And then how do you foresee deliveries happening, for this building too, since,
It would be in the rear of the building.
so that, well, because you have no entrance off a Prospect, would we be directing like deliveries to come, down Marietta or Bonita? Like, how are you planning on the semis being able to do deliveries and things like
I
that?
believe Marietta. They would come in,
On Marietta,
yeah, head south and then turn around to head north so they can go back out on Marietta.
do you think? I know, I get it, but I just don't think they're gonna do that. Okay,
That's the intent.
sure.
For asking that, Trustee DeVore. You know, I hate to say this, but I feel that I really think that we need to, I'm proposing that we defer this, not very long, but for 2 weeks, so that we could meet with Hanson, the architectural firm, and the developers. We're incredibly grateful and excited about having this development in our community, but of course we want to execute the plan perfectly because this building will be here for the next 100 plus years. And we want it to be a good fit for our citizens, our residents, and then also a wonderful sales tax generating opportunity for the community at large. So I don't know how other trustees feel about that, but that is what I would like to propose this evening.
I feel the same way with Trustee Kazam. I personally have said myself that I love the smell of development, but I also like the smell of the correct and the right development. So I think that we can negotiate something here, and like Trustee Kazam had mentioned, to defer, we could set a date and come back and visit with these new options.
We would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I think that's fair. And
Okay, so from what I heard, Trustee Kazam, is that you would like to move to defer this to our January 20th meeting. Was that your motion?
Yes, I think that 2 weeks would give us ample time to have a conversation with all the different parties involved, and hopefully we can come to some type of consensus and move this along.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to defer for 2 weeks to January 20th, moved by Trustee Kazam, seconded by Trustee Simmons. Is there any comments or questions on this motion to defer? Hearing none, Clerk Turner, would you call the roll?
Trustee Steinwaddle.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Simmons.
Aye.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert. Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
all right, thank you guys. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to our second issue on the agenda, the discussion of the impact of approving golf carts on Peoria Heights roads. Trustee Weisenberg?
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to open up the conversation about whether or not we should approve golf carts in the village of Peoria Heights. And I know Trustee Simmons had requested this topic be on the agenda, so first I want to open the floor to her, let her speak on this and educate us on what she's thinking, and then I have a few questions.
Thank you. And Trustee Simmons says, Weisenberg, you're correct. Trustee Simmons
Do we have to make a motion to
No, there's-
discuss? Okay.
had reached out to me to see if we could have some golf cart discussion, and Trustee Steinwaddle had also asked that it would be on the agenda. So Trustee Simmons, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Trustee Weisenberg. Golf carts, not just golf carts, it's golf cart, easy-go, gators, side-by-sides. These kind of all fall in that category of type of vehicle that I've been discussing. Street-compatible vehicles, gas or electric. If I may, I'd like to just bring up some pros that I have, some comments, and then after I'm done, if we could hold your discussion until after I'm done, I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Safety standards and features. All vehicles must follow all roadway laws. The state of Illinois regulations permit vehicles on roads that do not exceed 35 miles an hour. Vehicles are allowed to cross at streetlight intersections such as War Memorial to access Peoria Heights roadways. Vehicles cannot drive east or west on War Memorial because that is their main road, Peoria. Operators would not be allowed to drive vehicles on the Peoria side of Prospect, which would mean east side of Prospect. All vehicles are required to have liability insurance. So I'm attacking safety first, because that's going to be my first and foremost concern as well. They must have safety features: brakes, steering, tires, a rear view mirror, red reflectorized warning devices, front and rear, headlights visible from 500 feet, and a tail light visible from 100 feet, and seat belts. Additional safety features such as turn signals, brake lights, or reflective tape can be mandated by our municipality to help ensure vehicle visibility to other motorists. All operators must have a valid driver's license. We can't just have 13-year-olds driving a golf cart up the street. Penalties for non-compliance, that's something we would want to be concerned about. Individuals can be fined or impounded. Multiple offenses can incur higher fines or suspension. They just lose the right to have the vehicle completely if there's multiple incidents. Registration and inspection. All vehicles must be registered, receiving a permit to operate on Peoria Heights roadways through our local police department. State level registration is unnecessary. I suggest a one-time permit fee of $40, which I would hope that would pay the officers time to inspect it. Other municipalities, I want to bring forward that the City of Washington Council voted during their December 15th meeting putting operation of golf carts on the March 17, 2026 election ballot. Lake in Illinois, July 13, 2009, permitted golf carts. Chillicothe, Illinois, May 1st, 2010, permitted golf carts. May 3rd, 2016, Canton, Illinois, permitted golf carts. And Metamora, Illinois, May 15th, 2018, permitted golf carts. I want to mention that every one of these municipalities have a major highway going through their town. Lakin has Route 26 and Route 17. Chillicothe has Route 29. Canton, Illinois has Route 9 and Route 78. And Metamora has 116 and Route 89. Just a few more valid points and I'm done. I can park a lot of golf carts. I would suggest not on Prospect, though. We could permit parking golf carts in parking lots and other residential streets in that area. Many residents have shared with me they would love to have a golf cart to shop and dine in our restaurants. I spoke to 11 individuals in one sitting that they were in favor. And I want to also mention that once the village pushes through the street diet, traffic is assumed to be controlled more as well for those vehicles. But again, I'll reiterate that in the state of Illinois regulations, golf carts are permitted within the municipality's determination, but they cannot go on roads that exceed 35 miles an hour. Open for discussion, please.
You heard it from Trustee Simmons. It's open for discussion.
And they are seasonal too. We're not going to be out there in the wintertime. So it's going to be a seasonal vehicle, I would assume.
Put some snow tires on.
Trustee Simmons, I really appreciate you bringing this up. Actually, I had come to the village with this a few years ago. I think actually the idea of a golf cart, the word golf cart is a misnomer. I think it confuses people because, as you said, it's a low-speed vehicle, the gators and that type of thing.
Right.
And I guess I just have more questions than I have opinions at this point. I'm most concerned with safety because I think that residents can be confused. They think of low-speed vehicles as golf carts, and they think that nothing can happen, but they're maybe drinking and driving, or there's no protection around that. So it worries me a little bit.
It's like any other vehicle, though, from what I'm seeing, possibly.
It's a real vehicle, and so I mean, on the other hand, we've actually allowed the pedal cabs and the bar cars and that type of thing in the village of Peoria Heights, so I find it a very interesting initiative. I just need to understand the safety of this entire exercise.
My reply would be that every vehicle on the road has to be held accountable, just like every vehicle on the road. They have to follow the same roadway laws, period. I want to mention too that electric vehicle.
there this evening?
I wanted to mention too, the electric cars will also put out less emissions as well.
Than the gas-powered ones.
Yeah. And you have the choice though. I mean, if you're gonna come up Forest Park Road, you're gonna probably need a gas vehicle, but I don't know how many people would be trying to, you know, do that, but.
Coming up the Forest Park Drive.
Forest Park Drive, yeah.
Would we designate parking for these types of vehicles?
Not in the overlay district?
Yeah, anywhere. I mean, like, for example, parking is an enormous issue for us. So would a golf cart?
I would not recommend to have golf carts parked on Prospect.
I think, Chief, can you speak to that though? But I think we would if we didn't have its like specific parking lot,
Yeah.
one utility vehicle per parking spot. So even if you could fit two,
Yeah.
you would still have, it would be the same as any other motor vehicle.
Correct.
As far as parking.
Correct, yeah. I don't know, we struggle with parking now. I don't know if we have a spot for a designated golf cart parking lot. So they're gonna have to park on Prospect or on the side streets.
Where
And
we
that would be taking up more vehicle parking, yeah.
Yeah. And then how, from the police standpoint, how can you speak to how you're feeling about this and the safety concerns? And really, for me, I think it's, I'm a little concerned about, like, yes, we can have these laws in place, yes, we can have these regulations, but it's gonna come down to enforcement and where that lies with the workload with you and with the officer numbers we have currently.
As far as the safety, my biggest fear with the safety is if you have the intersection down at Cyberlane and Prospect or Marianna and Prospect, and we have a golf cart crossing there and gets hit by a vehicle, it's your injuries or fatalities go up substantially, as opposed to just vehicle and vehicle. A motor vehicle is much more safe than a regular golf cart. So we talk safety up here. That's my biggest fear. If a golf cart crosses, and you mentioned Trustee Simmons, Warren Prospect, we have accidents down there constantly. I can't imagine what kind of injuries you're going to see having a vehicle cross at Warren Prospect and get hit by somebody blowing the red light, which happens almost daily down there. My other issue is the increased workload on the officers. We're not only going to have to bring officers off the street that are fighting crime to register 50, 100, 150 vehicles. They're going to have to write reports on those. Then it turns into enforcing the laws or the ordinance that you guys put up. When those are written, because people are going to violate them, we have the same issues with traffic now. They have to write tickets there, then they have to go to court. Now you're talking a budget issue with more overtime. I feel like
And I
those are
respect
just.
your opinion.
Yeah.
If I may, there are motorbikes out there and scooters, and there wouldn't be any difference. We can try to keep people safe as much as we possibly can, but that would be up to the motorist. If somebody's drinking behind the wheel of a golf cart and they cause an accident, they need to be held accountable for that accident, just like anyone else.
Correct.
And in regards to inspection with the officers, and I respect your time, Chief, it does mean a lot, but they could do it by appointment only with your office.
Yeah. My fear is they're still coming off the streets to do it, though. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, we could do it 8 to 5 when our housing inspector or ordinance officer's there, or the lady who runs the window, but then we're taking them away from their duties, taking them outside, fill out the paperwork, and I have the same choke out the ordinance. So it's a laundry list of
And I
things they have to
understand,
abide
I'm
by.
just trying to put it around my mind that how long it would take to inspect a golf cart to make sure that it's ready for, be
None
put
of
on
the
the
board
road.
members are prior. I know Administrator Sutton was here. We had one of these that was basically by doctor's order. And I did those inspections, and it's 30 to 45 minutes inspection because he's got to hit everything. fill out the paperwork, and then I have to come back, write a report, submit the report. So it's, I mean, you're an hour off the streets, you
I
know,
know
that could be
that-
used for, you know, other purposes.
And I hear you. I do know that there are people that say they're interested, but I don't know how many people are actually going to move forward with purchasing that vehicle, or, you know, I would think it would be gradual. I would hope that it wouldn't be bombarding you or the department. So I don't know how many people would actually be purchasing them right away, but it's nice to be competitive. And there was one thing that I was always raised to understand, is there's one thing that we can always count on, and that's change. And change to stay competitive with the other popular towns is important. It's something that the Heights could offer, and there's people in the community that are requesting it. So I'm going to stand and say that I would like to pursue considering having the golf carts. Again, there's lots of scooters, motor-operated bikes, et cetera, on the roadways. And you've got a few people out there that want to enjoy the summer months in the Heights.
I'm sorry, I can't remember, how much is the permit to have
$400.
Yeah, I would say, the bike is 400, right?
Correct.
Well, that's a motorized.
Yep.
That, the electric ones aren't, we don't regulate the electric ones.
Right.
No, but.
Just the DUI bikes that go.
And I was
not PC to
comparing,
call
I
them
was just
DUI
throwing a
bikes.
number out there, guys. Suggested one-time permit fee would be $40 because rental homes pay $100.
Yeah, but the other, how often is it that license every year? And then do the other,
And it
trustee,
is revenue.
do the other municipalities make them license, like get registration on them from,
They're through their local municipality, through their police department.
they're not, none of them are like street license, like through the DMV?
It's not required by the state. They said it's unnecessary. You leave it up to your own local municipality.
Well, I mean, I definitely don't think it's appropriate if we're charging motorized bicycles $400 to only charge the other vehicles $40. So I think we'd have to we'd have to discuss that or see how.
That's
how we
absolutely.
would-
I was just putting a number out there.
As far as, you know, crossing streets, I worry, you know, one of my big pushes is trying to bring the equal opportunity down below the hill. And like a person living in Longshore, if they had a golf cart, they would have to cross Route 29, then go up Forest Park Drive and come to Prospect. How would they get across 29 safely? Or would they?
Well, I'll be honest with you. That would be at your discretion on guidelines on the roadways. And I personally think that if a golf cart was, or a vehicle such, would have to cross at an actual intersection. So if there's not an intersection, then it may not be a choice for you to have one. And I don't want to be exclusive, but, you know, they can't drive a golf cart down on 29 because it exceeds 35 miles an hour, and that's the regulations through the state of Illinois. So we still have to follow those guidelines there as well.
So a question for council, you know, when we passed the ordinance on the gasoline motorized bicycles, what we found out afterwards is that ordinance only affected Peoria Heights citizens, where someone from the East Bluff could take their gas-powered motorized bike. They were under no obligation to register that vehicle with us because they didn't live in the village of Peoria Heights.
True.
So they could just buzz on through.
Right.
So if we were to pass some sort of ordinance with golf carts, people who live in Peoria, even if like one side of the street was Peoria, the other side was Peoria Heights, they see their neighbors zooming around in golf carts. They buy a golf cart knowing that they can drive in Peoria Heights even though they can't. So so our officers would have to look for a sticker on a golf cart to know whether they were Peoria Heights citizens or Peoria?
It would absolutely give rise to enforcement issues, no doubt.
Right.
and then they would be ticketed.
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because of the border in Peoria Heights being so irregular, that, like, my neighbor is in Peoria,
Right, next door.
great guy.
He
But
is.
if he sees me zooming around on a golf cart, I think, oh, that's a neat idea.
He may ask you to let him keep his golf cart in your driveway.
He might.
I know him.
So we cannot enforce the fact that someone doesn't live here, they can just drive a golf cart here?
I'm not convinced that we can't. If it's unregistered, I don't think it matters if you live in Peoria Heights or Peoria.
So if you're on a motorized bike here and you get stopped, right, but you live in the Bluff, we can ticket them because they're not licensed?
I'm not sure that we can. I would have to look into it.
I don't.
You're not sure that we can or cannot?
I don't think that there's anything that says we can't ticket them.
The example that Chief Ahart gave, that gentleman who had that one-time medical actually did not live in the village of Peoria Heights.
Lived in Peoria.
So the one golf cart that was given was to a person that lived in Peoria. And he was driving around the Peoria Heights streets. So.
Just back to council,
Yeah.
because those gasoline-powered motorized bikes can be
Right.
driven in the state of Illinois.
Right.
Okay, so even though we pass a city ordinance requiring them to be registered, someone who lives in Peoria and just buzzes through the heights, how could we enforce a registration? How can we enforce our ordinance on someone who lives in Peoria?
The answer lies in our ability to regulate unpermitted or unlicensed, I hate to use the word license, but unpermitted vehicles on our streets. So it doesn't matter where the owner lives.
Okay.
It matters where they operate it. If they're operating it in Peoria Heights, it's got to have a permit.
That would be like if somebody has a B&B and they have a golf cart in the garage and somebody rents a B&B and the golf cart is part of the B&B rental and it has a placard or a permit on the back issued from our Peoria Heights department. That person that comes from Wisconsin, Florida, wherever they're coming in from, traveling nurse, can get in the golf cart and drive to Sullivan's or any one of the other restaurants or location shops to, and it has a permit or a sticker on the back that shows it's a registered vehicle from our location.
Before I lose my train of thought, so I'm gonna use East Bluff as an example, because we're the biggest kind of block of citizens that aren't.
Right.
So if that's the case, then we could have a bunch of Peoria citizens in the East Bluff register their golf carts to operate in the village of Peoria Heights, and they can be buzzing to Beck's or
Yes.
Walgreens,
Yes,
but not actually be citizens of Peoria Heights.
correct.
They would be still responsible to have inspections, pay the fees.
Yes.
Okay.
And if they don't, they're operating it unpermitted.
They'd have to follow
And
regulations like everyone
and
else.
I assume those stickers would have like a date on them, so we would have to pull them over and see if their stickers are.
Yes,
up to date?
That's what I mean about the enforcement is
Right.
going to be a burden on the gentleman to my left and his employees.
So I know almost nothing about this topic.
Mm-hmm.
And when I seconded you on it, I think anything that somebody wants to talk about should be discussed. And so I came in with an open mind, and my question is, how many municipalities actually, we're talking about registration?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a requirement for the state, or is that,
No, it's not necessary through the state. It's through the local municipality that decides to have it.
okay, so it's our
That's what I
decision
learned.
whether or not we even register a vehicle?
Registering it with the state is unnecessary.
Okay, because we don't do when I drive my personal vehicle home from here, I've never had the state inspect it. That's just, I've never had to pull up to the DMV and they check my lights and brakes and.
I don't know if this is like
I'm just
kosher with
curious.
the actual ordinance or the law, but when I lived down Longshore as a kid, we got around this by driving lawnmowers around. We would drop the blades off of them. It was totally legal. You could.
I have a guy in Peoria that drives his lawnmower to pick up his kids over there in Northmore.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we need to take a step back a little bit because we're talking about all these different situations that could possibly happen. This could happen, that could happen. But right now, I mean, even looking at just the people that I know, I can think of maybe 4 that would even be able to buy a golf cart, let
Right.
alone pay for a registration fee and, or even have the use for it. If anything, it would help maybe benefit some of our older our older patrons even, where they can't find a parking spot or don't want to walk all the way up here, but definitely want to get closer, and they can park on a side street and walk a little bit closer and just make it a little easier for them to get to some of our restaurants. Or I look at things like up here at Village Hall when we have our different events and things, to have people just be able to drive their golf cart up real quick and not have to
Absolutely.
drive around the block a couple times to find a parking spot. But at the same time, I'm not thinking 20,000 golf carts are just gonna pull up like a country club.
They're not,
I'm
yeah.
thinking 3 or 4.
Right.
You know, and over the years, it may grow, some years it may shrink, but I don't think it's a terrible idea. I understand the safety issue of it, but we also allow bikes to cross down there at
Right.
Kelly and everything, and it's kind of the same idea, except, you know, the bikes are required to have their lights when they're riding at night, and so will the golf carts, and
People have to be held accountable for their actions as
so
well.
I do understand the safety aspect and the time that it would take to get all that kind of stuff certified, but I also don't think it's gonna be, all of a sudden we pass this and 100 people are gonna be up here at Village Hall asking Chief Ahart to
And on
certify everything.
On another note, they're fun. People enjoy it.
In
Other
the
communities,
summer-
they decorate them for
Yeah.
St. Patty's Day. I mean, they have parades. I know this sounds like on the other side of the conversation, but safety is first and foremost for me. And registering, making sure that they have these safety features, but they're fun.
Not gonna lie, I wouldn't hate driving one to work every day in the summer
Myself,
either.
absolutely,
Does-
absolutely.
Does this, we talk about the safety of this, does this put anybody in danger other than the person that chooses to drive or ride on a golf cart?
No different than any other vehicle.
Minus the risk of fatalities, I imagine.
I mean, we
Those-
have.
Liability and
Motorbikes, people
killing
are-
someone.
Yeah, we have motorcycles and things like that too that
Motorbikes.
are dangerous, but.
People are having head concussions, you know? Wear a helmet.
I think, again, I just want to reiterate, these are not golf carts. I mean, we're calling them golf carts, but they're actually not golf carts. They go faster than golf carts, they require a license plate, they require seatbelts. It's not a golf cart. This is like I don't know, like a motorcycle with a sidecar, something like that. Like, it's not a golf cart. It is
Golf-
not a golf cart.
Golf cart, Easy Go, Gator, side by side. I know our local public works, they have a Gator. So that would be no different than what they're already driving on the street now.
And as far as like our intersections, Chief, does everyone come to a complete stop at all of our intersections throughout the village?
No, sir.
Okay, oh, that's weird.
You can't, yeah, I mean,
And just before you get to the question, Mayor, they also don't always abide by the speed limit.
Oh.
I wish that we could protect everybody from themselves, you know, and that's a tough job.
Again, I'd like to know where we draw the line if we do this. Trustee Wiseman brings up a good point. If someone wants to outfit a pretty cool lawnmower, where do we stop that? You know,
Well,
what-
we'd have to draw some
I mean, what?
guidelines.
Yeah.
This is just formality. This is just starting the conversation. But I appreciate the consideration.
One suggestion I would have is to, you know, if this is a path we want to go down,
Or go up.
talk to the communities that have done it, the
Right.
Metamoras and so forth.
Right.
I think their police departments would gladly share their experience, and what they see that bothers them, what works and what doesn't work.
I was told we would have to FOIA the incidents or anything like that.
That would also be appropriate, but I'm just, that would be my suggestion before we make a decision, is to, you know, talk to folks who've tried it.
Right.
And that also helps draw the lines on what should be permitted and what shouldn't.
What works and what doesn't.
Where crossing should be allowed and where it shouldn't, where parking should be allowed and not. Our community is unique, so we can't, you know, just mimic exactly what other communities have done, but we can sure get a lot of good ideas about what works and what doesn't.
Council, you represent other municipalities, don't you?
Absolutely.
Do you have some municipalities that allow golf carts?
Yes.
Okay,
Metamora. I'm not their village attorney, but
okay.
one of my partners is.
Okay.
Yeah, I could certainly help facilitate those discussions, but I wouldn't.
Thank you.
I would not, I would not want Peoria Heights to do this without at least,
Doing the due
talking
diligence?
to
Yeah.
local community, in the area that have done it. And you'll learn a lot.
Council, I respect
Trustee-
that. Thank you.
Trustee Simmons, I'm sure if you would reach out to, or if any of us were to reach out to the police chief in Chillicothe or Metamora, I'm sure they would sit down and talk with us. I couldn't imagine they wouldn't. I don't think we would have to FOIA, unless we were printing something officially.
Right.
But just a conversation,
Right.
I can't imagine that they would stonewall us like that.
Those statistics can be, Chief Ahar can get all those statistics in a matter of a phone call, so that's not an issue if
Thank
that's
you.
what you're wanting. Just a couple things. This topic comes up, it seems, every 10 years. My stance is the same as it always been. It is a major public safety issue. And to answer your question, Trustee Steinwell, that would just depend on how the ordinance is written as far as what we can charge and all the parameters, because we did that for that one golf cart that we approved 25 years ago. Comparing Peoria Heights traffic flow to Metamora, Chile, and Canton, I don't think that's not apples to apples, Trustee Simmons. It is not. And everybody knows this because we have how many speeders? We have cut through traffic from Peoria. We're constantly fighting that. We just had a guy up here last month talking about the new, light we put up here, or speed sign we put on Prospect. So that's an ongoing issue. It is a public safety issue. And coming from the police department for 30 years, I do know what that would put on them. And I'm not saying that, I've never been one to say that's not their job. They can do it. My only concern is, do we want them doing that kind of work? We want them doing other things. Because we're surrounded by Peoria. We're not rural. We're not Metamora. We're not Henry. We have so much going on here that the public doesn't even see because of just how we're surrounded by Peoria. And I don't want to get into that. Chief Ahart knows what I'm saying. And I don't want a backlog of reports of golf cart to take precedence over other stuff. And I understand what you're saying, Trustee Reichert, as far as, it might not be 25 the first month or whatever else, but I do guarantee you that will grow. Because I do think it's a convenience, and I do think they're fun. I think that there will be a high demand, but I think there's a lot of things we've got to put in place. I just remember the one we had major issues with. We had a designated route they had to follow. That only lasted about 6 months. Then we were chasing him down, not following the proper route. Then we had grandkids driving it downtown on the sidewalks. It was a constant problem, and it was just one. So my experience is that, now, would there be people that get permits that are responsible? Probably. But I would say the majority, and if everybody followed the traffic laws that we have now, we probably wouldn't have a problem. But we know that isn't true. So my stance is the same. I do think this got a lot of layers to it. It really does. So if we're going to do something like that, I hope that we really investigate it. My stance is the same, though. I'm not for it. I'll just tell you that now. I wasn't for it 25 years ago. I'm not for it today. So, but we can get that information from other departments. Chief Ahart can get that as a matter of a phone call.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And again, penalties for noncompliance can be fined or impounded. Multiple offenses can incur higher fines or even suspension. We can take away the ability to have something just as fast as we can.
I completely understand that, but to me, that's in the same realm of me saying that I can fine everybody for code enforcement violations. Because the guy living next to the trash can doesn't care about the fines. He wants compliance. So it's not about the revenue. I mean, we'll take it, of course.
Right.
But I look at it as the same way. We can fine a guy for ordinance violations and get $1,000 a pop. But the guy living next to it, does he care about the money? No, he cares about compliance. So I go back to that.
Sure.
I respect your opinion, but I'm just on the other side of that, Trustee Simmons.
And I appreciate that. I do appreciate council's suggestion to talk to the other municipalities, see how they've worked with that. And I was just bringing it to the board as a discussion tonight. I just thought it would be something that others have mentioned to me that they would like to have. And the fact that you've even considered to have this dialogue over this topic is appreciated. Thank you.
One question, just legally, with the golf carts. I know Grandview Drive is operated and owned by the Park District. How does that play into this whole thing? I mean, do they just follow municipal ordinances? And I'm just curious how that all works. If something like this did pass, are they able to just operate a golf cart on Park
From my
District property?
understanding, that they're exempt because they're municipal employees, correct, in the line of their work capacity council, from my understanding?
The real question is, do we have authority to enforce the Peoria Heights ordinance on Grandview Drive, which is Park District Road? I don't see why we couldn't. If it's not registered, it's,
Enforcing writing a ticket to another municipality?
well, it technically is another municipality. I mean, it probably would require an intergovernmental agreement with the Park District.
Yeah.
And they may have something to say about whether they want that. So yes, I think before I answer
We
the,
voted on, Nick, who, operates the tourism little, it's like a rickshaw. That was our vote, but it's on their road.
I think he had to go before the Park District as well, Trustee Kazam.
you did.
Okay.
You're right, that is correct, you're right about that.
Trustee Kazam, you mentioned your experience, and you're bringing this up previously. Did you have any further comments based on your experience with golf carts or whatever?
All I would say is, I mean, again, I brought this up to Chief Sutton probably 4 or 5 years ago because I think it's an exciting idea. I think it's fun. We are an innovative community. But in my, another part of my life, I live in a dominant golf cart community, and those are what's happened is people would ride golf carts that were electric, and I guess the new vehicles are also electric, but they're going faster and faster, and I've seen tremendous accidents that would really it's heartbreaking. So I just don't want, I think it's fun. I know Chillicothe does it. I'm interested in the idea, but I really don't want to see horrific accidents. It frightens me. So
I don't want
I
accidents
would like more
either.
discussion.
Yeah, I agree. And then
It's
with,
not the adults in the room, right? It's not the over 30s. It's the people that have a legal license to drive, and then they're going. We are, I believe, actively trying to create a community that endorses restaurants and the arts, culinary, entertainment industry, concerts, and there's alcohol involved in those incidents. And so then they get on a golf cart, which seems in their mind safer than a car, but it sometimes is not because you're exposed. There are no walls around you to protect you. So I don't know. I'm interested. I have more questions than answers. Those are my concerns.
they shouldn't be getting behind the wheel with a lot of alcohol in them anyway, for any vehicle, period.
No, of course they shouldn't. Anyone shouldn't be
Right.
doing that, but.
And with the road diet, they're gonna slow Prospect down.
Golf cart, it's like, it makes people feel safe, like it's a toy. That's why I really don't want to call these golf carts. I want to call them low-speed vehicles.
Is there any more discussion to come before the board on this issue?
I have none, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Trustee Simmons and Trustee Steinwettle. Hearing no more discussion, we'll move along to our third order of business, approval of a proposal from TWNM. And that stands for, we'll let Mark pronounce that, Thurvernaut, Wade, and Marochin. For engineering and community development and oversight. Trustee DeVore?
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion to approve by Trustee DeVore, seconded by Trustee Reichert. Trustee DeVore?
Yeah, so in front of you is a proposal from TW&M for engineering and community development services. Pretty much this is the same agreement that we would have had previously with just a different company. So now that Mark he is now with this consulting firm, this is a new proposal. So he has been very influential, and with all of our current projects and stuff, and I think it's very important that we keep the momentum that we have going on with those projects. So that's what you see in front of you is the consulting, new consulting contract to keep Mark on board.
So I was here when we did the previous contract with the other company.
Yeah.
This looks like a substantial decrease in the dollars per hour.
It is a substantial decrease. We will be saving about $85 per hour for the same service.
And it's the same guy?
Same guy.
Okay. Is there any penalty for us terminating the previous contract?
Nope, but you can see that it does say in the contract that either party can terminate within 7 days notice.
Okay.
You asked about the prior
Previous
contract?
No, that's already been done. And
That's already terminated?
Yeah,
okay.
we took care of the previous contract.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I misunderstood, Trustee Stein.
So this is just a brand-new contract with no strings attached for $85 less an hour for the same guy? Okay.
Well, and this represents a vote of confidence in Mark. Mark has taken the reins of this and had a handoff from from Wayne Aldridge, who we were very happy with Wayne and his time, and Wayne brought on Mark to help take some of the reins off of that, and we couldn't be more pleased with Wayne, but again, we couldn't be more pleased with Mark. And as Trustee DeVore had mentioned, we've got a lot of irons in the fire, whether it be the water filtration plant that we're going to be breaking ground on here in 2026, whether it be replacing another 130 some odd lead service lines this year, whether it be our work on the $80-90 million project on Route 29, whether it be replacing a $1 million main along the Route 29 and delivering service lines across that, whether it be balancing multiple grant applications for anything between tourism as well as our sidewalks improvements and ADA accessible improvements along Glen. So Mark has a lot of irons in the fire. He's taken and run with those projects. And I think, again, this is a vote of confidence in his ability to deliver on that and some of the exciting things that are happening in the Heights. So again, thank you, Mark, and we are hopefully pleased to have you continue to work for us.
And he is originally from the Heights, correct? Yeah.
Family.
Technically
Tied to
that.
Peoria, but as I said, 7 months ago, my mom taught here for 40 years over at Kelly Avenue, and my sister still teaches and gets to see Jen every day, so soft spot for the Heights.
Nice.
Are you looking for a motion for approval?
We have a motion.
All right. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, Clerk Turner, would you call the roll?
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Trustee DeVore.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you, Mark. We're now down to general comments from the audience. If you have a comment, please come to the podium, give your name, address, and if you have already been up here, Chief, you don't have to give your name and address again. Okay, it's on fire.
I got a quick question for Chief here. A new law starting January 1st, and it's got to do with bicycle riders. And I know you guys did your prospect and you left out the bike lane. Is that correct? You're only going to have 3 lanes.
Yeah.
Potentially.
So the new law says that if somebody's riding a bike, the car has to change lanes to pass the bike. So how's that going to work? on Prospect, or on Glen, where there is no turn lane, how's that gonna work?
I mean, obviously, they get over as much as they can, you know. I
Well,
mean,
that's not, the law
I know,
says
but I
they
mean,
have to change lanes.
I'd have to look at it and to review it, but I would willing to believe if it's 2-lane road and there's nowhere to go, you can go into.
They gotta follow, wouldn't?
Well, no,
I
you can
mean, that
go
would
in- if
make
it-
sense
as long
to
as
me
it's a
that they'd have
passing-
to follow the
as long as
bike
it's
if
a
they
dotted
couldn't
yellow, you can
pass.
pass, you can go into the other lane and pass. That would be my assumption, no, that'd be a.
Like up on Prospect, it's a double yellow
Correct,
line.
yeah.
You can't,
Correct.
legally, you're not supposed to cross the double yellow line. So,
Yeah.
would they have to follow the bike?
They would have to, yeah, yeah.
Yes, if it's a double line, you would have to follow the
Yeah.
bike, and he's not able to pass, then right,
Yep.
you would just have to follow the bike until you get to a safe area that you can.
Well, I just wanted to bring that up, because I know you guys are doing the Prospect thing, and there could be a lot of people riding bikes, and, just something to think about.
Thank you, Chief. Any other, Kathy, again, you don't have to give your name and address again.
Just a couple other comments after listening to what was presented tonight. Happen to be involved in one of the consulting studies, so we've got FAR associates that have been involved in the Heights, and they do projects all over the country, as well as a number of other ones over the last 10 years involved in the zoning board. But one of their surprises, and Trustee Kazam heard this as well as Rick Pitzel, they were very surprised at the office building that's taking place in the Heights, because nowhere else in the country are people building office space, because people are working from home, alternatives. So what we're seeing really is people coming out of Peoria and relocating to the Heights. So I think it's just important to realize that and make sure that anything that is built can be repurposed to something else at a later date, because that's why we're stuck with CVS and the other buildings, is because they were never built with any intention that they needed to be repurposed at another date, and they almost always need to be. Secondly, in terms of, they mentioned Clifton Larson and that was listed in the paper as as their only signed tenant in the paper just last week. We happen to be looking for a new accountant. We interviewed MH, I think that's right here in the Pearl Building, and then we also went to Clifton Larson. Went to MH. There's no receptionist. There's no one there. We made our appointment. We went in. They said no one comes in to meet in person anymore. They just don't. We go to Clifton Larson downtown at the PNC building. We go in. There's a phone sitting in a little, as you walk off the elevator. You're to pick up the phone and you're to call who you're meeting with. We meet with them. They tell us no one comes in the office anymore. No one meets in person. Baird, when they located here, I don't know if Trustee Kazam or Trustee DeVore was on the zoning board at that time, but at that time, they presented how many people were going to come through, and they had all these projections as to how much additional revenue we were going to get from people having lunch there. They later came back, reduced those numbers, and that also tied into parking as well. So I think you need to take into consideration that. We need to understand that sales tax, not service business, is what drives really the economy of the Heights. And real estate taxes, you don't get very much from real estate taxes, but everyone's going to tell you the real estate taxes are high, but you don't get very much for it. The school does, but it's really what's our saving grace right now is generating that sales tax revenue. The other thing that I didn't hear in the ZBA meeting and I didn't hear come up tonight is how many parking spots are they really talking about in total? They talked about a potential of 300 jobs. Are there 300 parking spots? I don't know, but I was really surprised that that never came up in either our meetings. So that's pretty important information. You guys have 2 weeks to kind of come up with information. The other thing in terms of the slope down Prospect, that slope has been there. I mean, I was born in the Heights, goes back a lot of years. That slope has always been there, and that was one of the reasons that the 4500 building they argued against the way that entrance was going to be. So they have that slope, that ramp that goes up. Every consultant that has come through has said, oh my gosh, that's just a business deterrent. People are not going to work their way up there. It's awkward to get into. And so there are solutions because we've had a number of businesses. I mean, if you just go down Prospect, all the businesses work that way. So I think you need to kind of look at what's there, and you also need to think about what, you know, with 4,500, there's a problem with that main entryway. We haven't been able to, I mean, there's been good restaurants, the Edge was good there, but it's still an awkward place to enter. So I think in terms of that, and it's always cost, which I realize cost is a factor, but if cost prevents you from renting out your business, that cost is going to be more exorbitant. So again, just trying to bring up a couple of things related to that. And then last, just on the glass issue, you know, when they presented the glass, that was completely related to the fact that they could not do it because it was a frame building.
Wood.
Yes, and so for that to be now disputed, I'm not sure if you're going to revisit that, but it is important. I can't remember if it was Trustee Steinwedel, somebody had brought it up, that, you know, making sure that main floor has enough glass. I do think it's an attractive building. I think it would look good coming up to the street. But I do think there's a number of things that really need to be looked at before. And again, I'm not so sure that they really have the full commitment of the other tenants and how they build out the space. You really need to make sure that it is repurposable. And that is something, as we talk to the consultants, is to make sure that our buildings are somewhat repurposable. If the CVS had been built to the street, you probably could have any number of businesses that could have been located in that. Heritage Square, if you had, just imagine if you had restaurant fronts, it wouldn't ruin the courtyard effect, but if you had restaurants along Prospect and you had that outdoor dining and everything that carried into it, that was something that was tried to be pushed. We didn't have any zoning to support it at the time. So now we do have zoning, and I just think to really understand what drives so many of these downtown communities, and again, our vibrant area are these small 25-foot storefronts, and the reason they're vibrant is because, and Trustee DeVore owns one of these businesses, when you don't have to have a huge mega place, rent is more reasonable, staffing's more reasonable, it's much easier to get through economic downturns. So there are buildings and reasons why you build a certain way that attract businesses, and they're there for the long term, or they turn over and they're backfilled pretty easily. So again, I appreciate all the thought that you're putting into it. Sounds like you've got a lot to consider for the next 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other comments to come before the board? Comments going once, twice. Comments are closed. We're now down to miscellaneous business. Any miscellaneous business or trustee reports to come before the board? Hearing none. Trustee Weisenberg?
Thanks, Mayor. I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Trustee Weisenberg, seconded by Trustee DeVore. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thanks, Beth. Feel better soon.
Good discussion, Teresa. Yeah, no, I